Can you dig it, sucker?
From the beginning, you got to think entertainment. You know, you never can think wrestling. I think, when a lot of young guys do that, they really lose focus on what they're really supposed to be doing, because in the end, it's entertainment. And there again, also, all the moves, every move have been taken, so that, every body slam, every suplex, So you got to be able to take all of those same moves and create a little bit of difference in, doing, a hip toss, an arm drag. You just got to make it your own. That's what made Ricky Steamboat so different than everybody else. He did an arm drag different than everybody else, but it was an arm drag, And when people watched it, they go, wow, you know what I mean? And it was nothing more than him just making it his own, So that's what I've tried to do throughout my wrestling career. I would watch movies and steal moves from movies, Muhammad Ali was my idol, so I wanted to box around like him and move around the ring instead of just standing on one spot. So you just got to try to, find what works, but everything old is new. Pre-match ritual will be jump rope for 45 minutes, small cup of coffee with 7 sugars, and that's pretty much would be it, but I would have to jump rope for like 45 minutes straight before I would go out, so I would get my oxygen up, to the point that, no matter who I was working, they couldn't make me tired, and that's what I wanted to make sure of, that when I went out and, wrestled, that I would never get tired. Well, for me, I always tried to work inside the 4 corners. Going outside of those 4 corners, it's more risk. Going up to the top rope, it's going to be a little bit more risk. You take a guy like a Mick Foley, for instance, who fell off the cage, and fell through the cage, and lost his ear, and had the exploding, tables matches, the fire matches, the thumbtack matches, those careers, you got to expect to be a little bit more beat up and bruised up. So you got to think about your career and the way you're starting it from the beginning. And because when a promoter see that you go up and jump off the ladder, you build a lot of ladder matches, so you better pick your poison. It's a great storyline, because it's real. Having real aspects, is very, very good. When you can explore them from a perspective. Daniel Bryan, he's not the face of the company. From a realistic perspective, in passing, seeing all the other champions before Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan is the little engine that could. He's the guy that's good, that going to try to overcome no matter what. He's not going to accept bullying, no matter what. So that's what's really, really good about the storyline, because anybody out there that's watching it can inspire to be Daniel Bryan.
Sorry, just a small addition. Doesn't it feel to you that there's too much of the parallel to like 1997, 1998, when exactly the same thing was happening to Stone Cold? I mean, not exactly, but very similar.
Well, everything old is always going to be new again. That's just, I think, a part of life. Clothes go out and come back in. Music, styles go out and come back in. We've been having the feud over Robin Thicke, playing a Marvin Gaye song. They went to court over it, what I mean, just because it sounded like a song Marvin Gaye did, So I think that's just a part of life, Everything seems to evolve and come back in some way, shape, form, or fashion, But I do feel like it's the Attitude Era from a PG perspective. I think, going into a match, I'm thinking about, more importantly, the story. But it's kind of, it's kind of crazy. But for me, my best matches have always been like an out-of-body experience. It's almost been like I'm on the outside watching it, and I can see everything that's going on before it actually happened. So therefore, I'm watching it. I'm working like I'm a fan watching it. And if I could do that, I could capture everything that I need. So I got a lot of thought process going on when I'm out there performing, but I'm trying to think 2 and 3 steps ahead. Wow. I've had a lot of violent matches, of course, but probably it would be back in WCW working with the Nasty Boys or something like that. Tornado match, everything's flying all over the place. You could use anything going into the concessions. Matches that I just didn't like, that would probably be. And then working with 2 guys that I really didn't care to work with as well, because they were pretty clumsy and they could really hurt you. But that would probably be one of my worst times. Yeah. Oh wow, that's another story right there. But I tell you, I can honestly say, the company really had a lot of really great direction going at one point in time when they had the X division, and then they had the girls, the knockouts division at a certain peak. But I really think they really messed up when they lost their signature identity, and that was going away from the 6-sided ring. I think that's what made them different than any other wrestling company. It was almost like a soccer environment when you go to different countries working in that 6-sided ring. A lot of young people thought the 6-sided ring was cool, and I really think when you stop thinking about the young people and what they think and what they want, you could really be going in the wrong direction. And I think that was the biggest downfall for TNA, was when they went away from the 6-sided ring, lost their identity. Guy that I think that's going to break out, from the pack is Dean Ambrose, just because he's different. He's no different than any other guy, but he's different than everybody else. But and that's what makes him unique. When you watch him come out of the curtain, it's something you feel when you see him come out of the curtain. You don't just see him; you feel a certain way. You either don't like him, you do. You know what I mean? And that right there is the intangible that you can't really put a finger on why one guy has it and the next guy don't. Well, I don't see why not. We've tried scouting, NFL, college, basketball, Olympic wrestlers. We've pretty much tried to scout in all of those directions, but it's always been a saying of mine that wrestlers find the business don't find the wrestler. And it's really hard to teach a guy who's been, pampered, a guy who's been taught, since Pop Warner to hit. It's really hard to teach those guys what we do, which is entertainment, and to go out and perform. Don't try to kill the guy, but you got to, beat him up, So it's really hard for those guys to understand, what we do, and from a locker room perspective as well as an in-ring perspective, because a lot of them used to get, like I say, paid a whole lot of money to do nothing. But when they come to WWE, they may get paid a whole lot of money, but they're gonna have to work for it. We were just talking about it actually. Not a funny story, but just one of my introductions to the business, and one of my first tours, to Germany. I'm watching, Vader and Mick Foley in the ring, and Mick Foley goes over the top rope and he get his head cut, caught in the top rope and the middle rope, and And he finished the match, and then comes back in the back, and his ear is bleeding, like profuse. Blood is just dripping everywhere. And he sits down, and then one of the other guys come in, and he goes, I think, and he has something in his hand on a towel, and he goes, I think this is Mick Foley's ear. And Mick Foley looks at him and goes, bang, bang. And I was like, wow, what have I gotten myself into? You know, like, because I knew I couldn't, you know, bear something like that. I mean, the cartilage, one thing, you know, getting torn is one thing, but getting torn off is something totally different, and that's a very, very painful thing, but for him, it seemed like it was nothing.